Hello there. It is that time of year that we are setting goals, and I'm about to challenge you to do it differently because here's the hard fact. The hard fact is that only 8 to 10% of people who set goals, specifically New Year's resolutions, actually achieve them. 8 to 10%. And to make it even worse, when we think about this, there is actually data that shows that 80% of people who set a New Year's resolution or a goal give up within 2 weeks. So much so that there is actually a National Quitters Day that's been declared as the second Friday in January. And at the time that this is going live, if you are listening in real time, that was last Friday. So I ask you, my friend, how's that resolution going? How's that goal pursuit going? Because if you're further than 2 weeks in and you are still at it, congratulations. But if you are one of those 80% of people who've slowed down, given up, had life throw you a curveball, and you're thrown off your plan for achieving your goal, you're in great company because there's a lot of people who are in that same boat with you. But I am on a mission to help people actually achieve their goals in a way that feels really good to them. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. I want you to maybe refresh your goal, especially if you've already given up, slowed down, or been like, oh shoot, I'm really already thrown off and we're 2 weeks into the year. I want you to refresh the goal because guess what? You're allowed to do that. And that's something that I really want you to remember no matter when you set your goal. Maybe you're listening to this in the middle of the year. Who cares when you're listening to this and when you're setting a goal? You can always refresh it. You can always say, okay, I need to, look at this in a new light. My season of life has changed, or whatever the case is, you can change your goal. I think we get really in our head about this because we said something and it's for great reason. You're a person of high integrity. You're a driven person. You said you wanted to do it. But sometimes we're just not in the season of life that it makes sense to have that goal. And so we need to set ourselves up for success instead of failure. So I want you to, instead of setting just a goal, I want you to set a life first goal. Now, when I started talking about this with my clients, it was really interesting because most people come to me, they are female entrepreneurs, and they come to me about some type of growth in their business. Sometimes it's scaling down, but most of the time it's scaling up, creating a new offering, finishing a project, that sort of thing. And I have really started saying, let's set a life first goal. And they're like, what? Okay, I just want to grow the business. And I'm like, okay, well, we have to think about your life first because chances are you started this business because you wanted to enjoy your life more and you felt the freedom or the idea of freedom, time and financial, by starting your own business. And so we need to create that life first goal. It can be measurable. So very specifically defined by me, a life first goal is a goal that's focused not just on what you want, but also includes how you want to feel as you pursue the goal. This is Amanda's definition. I'm sure other people use the term life first goal, but that's how I'm defining it. Not just what you want, but how you want to feel as you pursue it. This is important because I have actually seen, witnessed, done it myself, read about, whatever, seen people achieve a goal and feel like crap while they're doing it. And my dear friend, that's not worth it. Period. End of story. I've done it. You've probably done it. You're probably shaking your head and thinking, yeah, I have done that. Because again, you're a very driven person. So chances are you've achieved a goal and realized, well, it didn't get me the feeling that I wanted. You may not have thought those words, but that's typically what happens. And so we have to combine what we want with how we want to feel as we're achieving it. To be very clear, this is not how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. This is how you want to feel as you're pursuing it. And I recognize that you're not going to feel that way every day. So there's a lot of that comes in of like, well, I know life's not perfect, so why would I even include that in? It makes a big difference. And I'll share a very personal story because I tested this theory last year. So my word for 2024 was enjoy. And I've said many different words throughout the years. I like setting a word of the year, that intention, and just one single word. I really enjoy that. Having a resolution or an annual goal didn't really work for me. But setting the word of the year has been very helpful. So my word of the year was enjoy. And I got to that word, and I always pick a word that spans across all areas of my life. So it includes business, but it's also personal. And so I have to pick a word that goes all the way across. I don't want two different words because I'm an entrepreneur and all the other roles, right? So it goes across both. So I landed on this word because I asked myself, what do I want to feel like most days in 2024? Why I specifically asked myself that question, I don't know. I probably heard it somewhere. Maybe I asked a client that recently. I'm not really sure how it bubbled up, but I asked myself, how do I want to feel? And I realized that in 2023, I had focused on the hard stuff. And I would say years before. I'm a person who, I think all of us do this. Our brain is wired to focus on the hard stuff so that we avoid it going forward versus the good stuff that we want to have more of. And so I had been really focused on the hard stuff. And it's very important for me to note here that on December 31st, 2023, when I said this word, enjoy, that I was in a very, very tough season of life. So my husband had been laid off months before. He had no job prospects. We were in the middle of a holiday season that looked very, very different because of that. My business had had a very low revenue year compared to other years. So this was like a double whammy. And his father was put on hospice. And so in that moment, picking the word enjoy felt like a massive stretch. I was like, how in the world am I going to find enjoyment in this extremely tough season? The reason I bring this up is because what I don't want you to think is that my life was perfect when I picked that word. I picked a word that I knew was going to be a little bit hard, but I knew I needed to do it because everything was hard. I wanted to find the enjoyment in life. And so, did I enjoy every day of 2024? Absolutely freaking not. I did not. There were really hard days in 2024. There was hard months and weeks and moments. But I was committed to figuring out that word because I was like, how can I feel the way I want to feel and achieve my goals? Like the pursuit was there. So the way I did this is I actually decided that every Sunday, so I do my Sunday work where I plan for the week. On Sundays, I wrote one thing down each week where the goal was to write it one time a week of things I enjoyed that week. And just write it on a piece of paper, fold it up, and I put it in a jar in the kitchen. This jar was in the kitchen the whole year. I believe I mentioned it to Michael at some point that I was going to do this, but he never saw it again. Like he saw the jar, but it's not a clear jar, so you can't see the paper in it. And so I actually just told him very recently. So when I took it off the shelf and at the end of December, and I said, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see how many of these I wrote. And he said, oh my gosh, you did that? You were still doing that? I said, yes. I really wanted to stay with the idea of trying to find enjoyment. And my goal was 70%. So if you've been around me for long enough, I typically say that 100% of something is very unrealistic. So to think that I had 52 notes in that would have been an unrealistic expectation. But I was like, if I did it 70% of the time, like if I hit 70% of the weeks of the year, I feel like I'm winning. So I counted and I was so excited. It was 37. So I actually hit 71%. So I am considering that a huge win. And as I was going through those notes, it was a really fun experience because I was able to see this is what I didn't remember a lot of the things. Like I was reminded of things, experiences that I enjoyed. And it then gave me a way to look at 2025. Because I now have a year of what I looked at. Oh, I really enjoyed this and this and this. And so I can prioritize those things in 2025. So while I set very specific and measurable goals in my business for each quarter, I set the feeling as the word of the year, which was very, very helpful. So the reason that I'm sharing all of that is because I want you to know that this is not just something I tell you is a good idea. I did this for a year before I'm telling you this because I wanted to make sure that this would really change the game, and it did. I did not hit all of my measurable goals this year. I didn't, but I enjoyed more of the time pursuing it, which is wonderful. I saw a lot of traction in a lot of things, and I'm excited to see what 2025 brings. But I didn't accomplish everything, but I did find ways to enjoy the process, and it made a big freaking difference. So I want you to set those measurable goals, but also set the life first part of how do you want to feel. So here's how you're going to do this. Step number one is asking yourself, what do I want to accomplish? If you look at yourself, look at the year ahead and say, what do I want to accomplish in 2025? And you say, I want to grow my business by 50%. I want to publish my book this year. I want to start the podcast and hit 500 downloads, or I want to whatever. Set the measurable goal based on what you want to accomplish. I don't want to diminish the fact that this is important. You do need to set the goal of what you want to do. But step number 2 is asking yourself, how do I want to feel as I pursue this goal? This is going to give you the filter for saying yes and no to opportunities and options that come your way throughout the year, because there's going to be opportunities and options that come your way. And it could be lunch with a friend when you really need to be writing to finish that book. I'm not saying you can't have lunch with a friend, but for a season, you may have to write more, or whatever the case is. So what you want to do is ask yourself those 2 questions. What do you want to accomplish? How do you want to feel as you pursue it? And you can apply this both to like the annual goal as well as 90-day milestones. So you can do this with anything. And then you're going to put it all together in your life first goal statement. So I give credit to Donald Miller because he inspired what I'm about to share with you. He created a formula for, I think he calls it the vision. It's a vision statement. I took it because I was like, this is really helpful. And formulas give you a place to start. You do not have to use this word for word, but you want to adapt it to what works for you. But I took what he had and then I added the feeling part. So here's the formula for you. I will accomplish, and then you're going to list 2 objectives. I don't suggest any more than 3 because it gets real convoluted and it's confusing to you. So to anyone trying to achieve many things at one time, but 2 seems to work really well. By, and then the date, because, and then that's why it's important to you. This is very critical, knowing why it's important to you, all while feeling, and then how you want to feel as you pursue those goals. So I'll say it again. I will accomplish those 2 objectives by the date, because, why it's important, all while feeling those feelings as I pursue these goals. This is so exciting that I am putting this out because I have thought so hard about how I can help people with setting goals. And this is the thing that has really been working over the last year for people that I've really worked through this formula with. And it's just one piece that I put in my new course, Path. So Path is a very simple, done in a day. It's actually done in like 3 to 4 hours if you go through it all at once, DIY course. I have not created a course in several years because I was devastated that most people don't actually finish a course once they buy it. So I refuse to create it again. But after working with hundreds of people and talking to groups and helping people do this, I really wanted to package it up in a place that you can access at a very affordable price, and you can do it on your own. So Path is that for you. It is a DIY course available right now, and you can get it. And creating your life first goal is just one of the modules. There's 7 modules in there. It really helps you create your specific and customizable roadmap to achieving your goals. And like I said, very affordable, and it only takes 3 to 4 hours in total. So you can use this process every 90 days, but it only takes 3 to 4 hours in total, meaning watching me, learning, and implementing. All of it is done. I want you to do this in a day or 2 at the maximum if you have to break it up, because I do not want this to collect digital dust. I want you to only buy it if you're going to do it. And I really hope you enjoy that process because it is such a great course. It's super simple, super easy to go through. You can get access at amandamckinney.com/path, PATH. But regardless of whether you want Path or not, I want you to set your life first goal for 2025. And that's the accountable action for today. I do not want life throwing you off to stop you from pursuing what you actually want to do and how you want to feel. You can get back on track by understanding, okay, how do I want to feel? How can I get back on track with this goal? It's very, very simple, but it's hard to implement. But I don't want you to get thrown off and not feel like it's possible to get back on the horse here. So you can get back on your path. You can get back on that goal achieving journey that you're on and actually achieve your goal. That's what you want to do. So even if you are in that 80% that's like, well, I'm already giving up on my goals, and then we're 2 weeks in, you can still do this. Just rephrase the goal, refresh the goal, and do it in a way that feels right for you. Remember, my dear friend, I believe in you even in the moments that you don't believe in yourself. And until next time, keep being accountable.